and welcome back everyone to the video series dedication show on CBS that is foaming and frothing with rage. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge USA episode 7, and I have to say that this is probably my favorite episode of the season thus far. I felt we got a good amount of strategy, gameplay, social ties, and an insight of what the standings are within the house, and a good daily challenge and a solid elimination. I just thought that this was a good episode all around, but I'll get more into that and more into details of what I liked as we move through this review and recap. Let's start off where last episode left off, and that was with TJ unveiling the algorithm and getting our new pairs. And wouldn't you think, we get all brand new pairs that have never been paired with each other before, which is interesting because we had a repeating pair last week. But moving back to the challenge house, that's where we see Tyson, Angela, and Kylan, known as the three-headed monster, talking with each other, trying to figure out a strategy on looking out for each other, trying to position themselves to get farther into the game with each other. They have been winning a ton, and while they're talking, this is where Dom peeks this, and he wants to take a shot at them. He wants to get at least one of them out this episode. He wants to make a move. He feels like the finals are super close, and he wants to take a shot at a big dog this episode. Talking about somebody from the three-headed monster, we see Tyson and Sarah hug it out. They talk it out about the betrayal that happened with Tyson sending in Sarah a few episodes ago, and they come to an understanding. They'll work together, they'll communicate as well as they can, but they're not going to trust each other, and of course they won't. I mean, they didn't even come into the game 100% trusting each other. And then we go to see Leo calling his girlfriend, and that's where we hear that things back home are not looking great, as Leo's business is losing money. Something with credit cards was going down, and Leo is frustrated. He's trying to get all the details. It's just a frantic phone call, and that's when Leo's like, that's it. I'm gonna pack all my stuff, and I'm gonna leave this minute. He packs all of his bags, and that's when Alyssa comes up to him and is like, okay, let's talk this out. I know that your business is losing money. I know that this is a stress on you, but did you once think about me and how this affects me in this game? Like, if you leave, what could happen to me? So how about you just stay in the game and we'll figure this out whenever. Honestly, if I'm Alyssa, knowing the track record of the challenge, and because this isn't like a Rivals or Exes theme where the pairs are based on the theme, I would want Leo to 100% leave this episode. Like, once his bags are all packed and he's like, I definitely want to go, if I'm Alyssa, I'm like, bye, see ya, I'll open up the Uber car for you. Knowing the challenge and knowing how this format is, if Leo leaves, I know that one, there could be an alternate coming into the house that may be stronger than Leo, or perceived to be stronger than Leo. But if an alternate wouldn't have been brought in, that's when I would know that TJ would say like, hey, Alyssa, you will not be able to compete to win into power and win into safety, but you will still be vulnerable into being voted into the next elimination by whoever wins if they want to throw you in, ensuring that only a woman will be eliminated this episode. And I know what some people are thinking about the results of how this episode all wrapped up, and it really worked out for Alyssa, but I'm honestly gonna say that if I'm going into the next daily challenge and I'm partnered up with somebody who already packed their bag and who was ready to leave at a drop of a hat, I don't know if they're going to give me 100% in the daily challenge. And if they do sink us, whether subconsciously or if they intended to do that to be sent into the elimination, then I don't know if they're going to give me 100% in the elimination. At least with an alternate, they want to be in this game. They've been waiting to enter the game for so long. They would want to give me 110% if somebody was brought in late in the game. Or if it's just myself, at least I can count on myself that I'm going to give 110% in an elimination instead of begging or trying to pull this person in who may already be mentally checked out or stressed out with stuff back home that they might not give me 100% in the daily challenge or elimination. And that's putting my game even more in peril than if they just left that night. That's just my thought process on it, but we'll see that the best case scenario happened for both Leo and Alyssa, or at least Alyssa in this moment, if Leo was really losing like $43,000 that 1 week, and then if he kept staying into the game, and then if it just kept piling up, if nothing got solved. But regardless, let's move on to this week's daily challenge with everybody meeting up with TJ in this dirt arena. And he says that the daily challenge for this episode is called recreational driving. Compared to all the other naming conventions this season, this is A+. This is essentially a junkyard derby. It's very reminiscent to Mario Kart's balloon battle on that video game. Everybody will be driving these cars with 4 balls on them. If you lose all your balls or all your balls pop, or if your car stalls out, you are out of the game. This is last car driving wins this daily challenge. Also, there is another twist. All the drivers will be blindfolded and they will be getting directions and navigation by their passengers. I have to say that this daily challenge was so much fun to watch as an audience member. I love the camera angles, the idea of this daily challenge. It was both difficult, challenging, but also fun. It had a fun element to it. I really enjoyed this daily challenge a ton. Now, when listening to Tyson's podcast, he mentioned that this daily challenge was not as thrilling to play as it was shown on the TV screen. He said that the cars kept on stalling out. They had to restart the challenge like 2 to 3 times because all the cars would just stop automatically, like right when TJ blew the horn. He also mentioned that the daily challenge lasted like 5 to 10 minutes. So we got a really good at it. They did a great job Frankensteining, putting all the pieces together from all the different runs to make it feel like this daily challenge was way longer than it was and way more thrilling than it was. A+ on the editing team for this daily challenge. Let's go through all the standings. First out was Alyssa and Theo. They ran into the wall and they were done. 7th place was Angela and Enzo, which I found surprising. Kira and Kylan came in 6th place. 5th place was David and Cache, who were a wrecking ball in this daily challenge. I mean, they were driving through everything. They were going like top speed. However fast those cars can go, they were going top speed. They ran into a barrel and then they stalled out on top of that barrel. Tyson and Sarah got 4th. Ben and Desi got 3rd, where Ben was pissed. It comes down to Danny and Justine and Cayla and Dom. And by George, Danny and Justine stall out, making Cayla and Dom win. I mean, the cars stalled out, but they let Dom and Cayla like smash into all the balloons to break them off. So Cayla and Dom made a great team. Cayla had great directions. She was clear, she was concise, and Dom listened to direction. I guess he'll listen to a woman as long as it's either his wife or not Cache. So, and one of his major senses was taken from him via the blindfold. So he had to listen to Cayla to succeed. So congratulations to Cayla and Dom. They win, they get safety, they get power, they get the money, they are qualified to run TJ's final. And now Cayla and Dom are looking around going, we want to make a big move. Moving on to this week's Deliberation, Dom starts things off asking if Leo is 100% mentally in this game, because this is big. If Leo is not going to give it his 100%, is not here to win, then it really shifts what Dom and Cayla could do. They don't want to take a shot at a big dog, and then Leo kind of like putter out in this elimination, and whoever they sent in is easily going to walk back in and want some revenge. Leo assures them that he is staying in this game. He is here to win. He wants that prize money. He wants to make it to a final. So no matter who you send in, I'll be ready to go. Alyssa doesn't want to give out a name because she doesn't really talk to Dom and Cayla a lot, and she doesn't want that information to be used against her. So for 3 weeks in a row, no names are asked, no names are given out of who they would like to be sent into the elimination with. So it's all up to Dom and Cayla, and this is where Dom throws out a couple of names. He's like, I wouldn't mind throwing in Angela and Enzo. Also, Kyland would be a great person to throw into the elimination because he was also the one that sent me into the elimination. And then, of course, Tyson and Sarah, because he wants to take a shot at Tyson, but he's getting really close with Sarah. And Cayla wants to take a shot at anybody. She wants to make everybody sweat in the house, not knowing who could be going into the elimination because nobody is off the table. This is finally where we get to see some house dynamics, some social games being played, strategic moves happening, deals being made, because Angela's like, okay, well, I've been coasting in this game and now my butt's on the line. I guess I should talk to people that I haven't talked to in like 2 to 3 weeks. So that's where we see her talking to Cayla one-on-one. Angela talks to Dom, as I mentioned. That's where we see Dom and Cayla talking, and Dom mentioned that Sarah brought it up that maybe she wants to go into the elimination. The edit is a little weird because Sarah's like, I wouldn't mind going into the elimination to get my money, and I want to see Tyson sweat a little bit, but that's your partner. Like, she would need to give him a heads up before going into the elimination if she wants him at his peak best to ensure that they would win the elimination. That was never really probably going to happen. Dom always wanted revenge, and he would want to send in either Angela or Kyland, and that's where we see Kyland have a conversation with both Cayla and Dom. He does not go the single one-on-one route, and that ultimately comes back to bite him in the butt, because when we move to meet up with TJ at the arena for this week's elimination, he calls in the losing pair of Alyssa and Leo. And that's when he turns the attention over to Cayla and Dom, asking who would they like to send into this week's elimination against them, and they quickly say Kyland and Kira. So we have Kyland and Kira facing off against Alyssa and Leo in this week's elimination called Ball and Chain. In this elimination, there's a structure in the middle of the arena where teams are going to have to run over there, prop up their partner to unveil a trivia question. They're going to have to answer that trivia question by untangling a ball with a chain on it, then running back over and lifting it and putting it up. These balls are heavy. They're like medicine balls. The team that can answer all their trivia questions correctly first wins this elimination, wins their opponent's money, and gets to stay in this game. I have to say that this elimination was rather gripping. I really enjoyed it, from trying to answer the trivia questions myself to watching both teams struggle to, one, answer the trivia questions and trying to lift these medicine balls. Both Alyssa and Kira were giving it their all. They were giving it 100%. In the middle of this elimination, I thought that one of them were going to give up, that they wouldn't be able to lift the balls, but it just seemed as time went on that they just kept on finding that push within themselves and that strength wherever it was coming from. They were able to lift it and put it up. This one really came down to arm power and brain power. Some of these questions were, how many stripes are on the American flag? How many lives does a cat have? Which was tailor-made for Leo. And then the two questions that tripped everybody up was, on one side, Kylan and Kira's question of how many times was Madonna married, and on the other hand, for Alyssa and Leo, it was how many studio albums does Adele have? Both teams had no knowledge of either Madonna or Adele. Kylan and Kira were questioning the ones that they thought they had 100%, because they thought that Madonna had been married a ton of times. In fact, she's been married only twice, Guy Ritchie and Sean Penn. So when they were putting things together, they were like, oh, could it be 6? Well, we already used that number. So when looking back at it, they were questioning, is a baker's dozen really 13? Do cows really have 4 stomachs, or is it 6? They're questioning the ones that they thought they had 100% on, which they did. They had 100%. So they were questioning that, thinking that one of those numbers could have been in place for how many times Madonna was married. Whereas on the other hand, Leo and Alyssa were like, okay, we know we have all of those other ones correct. It's either 4 or 8. And it was not 8, so they try 4, and boom, they get the win. And really, who doesn't know that Adele has only 4 studio albums? Come on now. It's rather impressive to see Leo and Alyssa pull out this win. Leo is calling himself the Elimination King, which, I mean, he does have 2 elimination wins, so I can't really fault him for calling himself the Elimination King at this point. But this is only the midway point through the season, as once the episode had ended, that's where we get the mid-season trailer, and it looks like there's a ton of games still left to play before we even get a whiff of the finals. I do have to mention before ending this video that TJ twists this whole thing around at the end, because he's like, all right, it's time to get to the algorithm. Wait a minute. Maybe I don't want to use my perfect random algorithm that I kept on talking about. Maybe I want to twist things up. And in my brain, I thought of 2 possible theories. One, he's gonna let everybody pick their partners from here on out, or two, it's now a solo game, everybody for themselves. I think that it is going to be everybody for themselves. It's going to be a solo game, which I'm here for. But that's my theory. But what do you think the twist is, and what are your theories? Do you think it's going to be a solo game? Let me know down in the comment section below. What did you think about this week's episode? What did you think about the daily challenge? What do you think about the moves Cayla and Dom made? Do you think it was the right move? Do you think it was a smart move? What do you think about the elimination and how Alyssa and Leo won? Did you know all the answers to the trivia questions? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. Before I leave, I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who is watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.